infrastructure redundancy required. Image, since I'm going to create a Windows VM, I'm going to use Windows servers image. So data disk 1, source type none, and I'm going to create it. So this is the one way of creating your data disk. We'll see the other way in upcoming in up in within 2 minutes or in this week session itself. So for now we are not going to see about networking and management any other things. So leave it default. Click review plus create. So our VM is created. Let us go to the resource, and the first topic of the session is increasing the size of OS disk. So I'll tell you how to see the size of OS disk. Before that, let us connect the VM through RDP. Copy this public IP, go to command prompt. Sorry, don't go to RDP there. Okay, let it load. First we'll go many options. There below settings you have disk. You can click on disk to see and one data disk. So this is the data disk we created while creating the virtual machine, and we can create a new data disk by after creating VM also. And also you have an option to attach an existing disk. So whenever you need to add some important disk data in in using some disk, in that cases you can use an old a single disk, and you can add the disk to multiple VMs, and every VM will have some OS disk. So without there will be no VM without this OS disk. So I'll show you how to check the disk that is enabled in the VM. For that we shall go to VM. Here close all this, go to file manager, sorry, go to start menu and search for disk management mt.msc and hit enter. So in this wizard you can see the number of the disk enabled in the VM. See here we have one disk 0 and disk 1. So where in the previous session we saw every VM we will have one OS disk and temporary disk, and if we want we can have data disk. So here we have one OS disk with 120, sorry, I think 127 GB, and we have one temporary disk with 16 GB, and we have created one data disk with one 1024 GB. So first before creating, sorry, it is not only essential to create a disk and attach a disk, we need to mount the disk to the VM. So how can we do that? First we have to initialize this disk. So right click on the disk name, and here you have an option called initialize disk. Hit OK, and your disk will be online now. Now it is in online. Now you have to allocate some drive, you have to allocate the disk. So for that, right click anywhere in this disk and click new simple volume. So the wizard will be opened where you need to select the letter for your disk. So I am going to choose F as the drive letter. You can change anything you want, and let it be F for now, and click next. So this is the NTFS, this file system and volume label, everything. So you can change the name here. So for now let it be new volume only. Click next, finish. So your this is you now initialized the disk, data disk. To check, you can click on file manager, go to this PC, and see, you could see one new volume with letter F. So this is one new drive. So this is how you have. So Windows C is the OS disk, and we have one temporary disk, temporary storage disk, and we created one data disk. Now I'll show you how to extend the size of this OS disk. So we have the size of OS disk as 127 GB. Now I'm going to change the size of the disk. So how can we do that is click on the disk OS disk, On the left you have size plus performance. But before we should ensure that our VM is not running. It should be in stopped condition. We should stop it, because while it is in the running state, you cannot stop the VM. So it is asking, do you want to reserve the public IP address? No, I don't want. So I'll click OK. Data disk. Yes, our VM is stopped. Now we are going to extend the size of disk, OS disk. So now go inside the disk. See, now we will have the option to resize. I'll show you here. See, you have the option to resize. So I'm going to give the custom disk size, and I'm going to change it as 150 GB and click here is resize. So it is updating the disk, and it successfully updated the disk. Now we can add one data disk. Go to Windows, there clear, here we have data disk, and create click on create and attach a new disk. See, here we have an option. The first option, it is the logical unit number. You can give any number, but by default it starts from 0 to 0, and it will go for 1 2 3, so like that. And you can give the disk name. I'm going to give it as data disk 2, and you can select the type of storage. We can select the storage type. So we have many storage types: premium SSD, storage, standard SSD, and standard HDD. You can select any. Here, size of the data disk must be minimum 4, and maximum it can be 32,767. So now it's enough, since I'm going to show you. So it's enough for 4 GB, and I'm going to leave others default and click save. Your data disk will be it is creating now. It will be created, and it will update the VM. Yes, the VM is see here, successfully created the disk, and also it updated the virtual machine. Now we are going to start the VM. So go to VM, and start the VM. After that we shall connect, it will get a public IP, new public IP. We'll connect it through RDP and we'll see there will be one more disk and we must initialize it. So initialize and allocate some space. So it is starting now. So we got the public IP, copy the IP and go open it through RDP, paste the IP, connect it, use another account, give the username and password. Okay, click yes. Excuse me. So it is still loading, we shall wait. Okay, go to search bar and search for disk management, empty.msc, hit enter. See, here we have see the size of the OS disk. Disk C0 is the OS disk, and here we have 149.98 GB, that is 150 GB, since we updated it, but yet we didn't allocate it. So for allocating it, we must click anywhere, and you can create simple wall, or also you can click on this Windows and click extend volume. So click next, finish. So your volume is extended. And also you have another one disk named disk 3 with, so it is not initialized still. I will click initialize disk, so click OK. Now it is an online, but we need to allocate some space. I'm going to create new simple volume. Click next. Here I'm going to provide a letter E, or I'm going to select G and click next. Here I'm going to give the volume label as new. I'm going to give it as data disk 2. I'm going to give the name as data disk 2. Hit next, click finish. See, now it will also be there in the file manager. You can go and check there. Go to this PC. See, you have data disk 2G, that is we created now, and we have one new volume of this we created while creating the VM itself, and now the size of the OS disk also been increased. Now we have another one way of creating a disk and attaching that data disk to the VM. What you can do is you can go to home and you can search for disk on the top. So you can click. See, already we have 3 disks. One is OS disk 1, data disk 1, data disk 2. Or these 3 disks are attached to the VM. Now we can create one separate disk. After creating the disk, we can attach the data disk to the VM. So I'm going to create a data disk. I'm going to give the name as data disk 3. Data disk 3. Let the region be east US and everything let it be default, and leave all these default. Click review plus create. Now click create. So go inside the disk. So this is the data disk information. Now we'll go to VM and attach this disk to the VM. Click create. Sorry. Go to virtual machine. Existing virtual machine. Go to disk. There you can attach existing disk. Now the logical unit number is automatically generated to, you can change, and you can refresh once and attach new, they attach existing disk. See, you find data disk 3. So it is with size, it is in 1 MB data disk, so let it be, no problem. Save the disk. So we'll go and check this, check in our VM. There will be one data disk that is added newly. Once go to virtual machine and refresh there also, refresh here also. Sometimes it might be delay. Okay, here for now we didn't have any disk added newly, but because we should initialize it, right? So see, we have another one disk named disk 4. Initialize the disk, click OK, and now you have to allocate the disk with drive letter and name. I am going to select the letter to be GH. Now I am going to select H. Next, going to give the name as data disk 3. Click next, finish. So it is. Now go to the file manager. See, now you found one more data disk with 1 TB, 0.99 TB. So this is how we are going to create a data disk. Hope you learned how to create a data disk 3 ways while creating the virtual machine, or you can create a data disk inside the virtual machine, or else you can create a data disk and attach the existing data disk to the VM. So that's it for today, and also you learned how to increase the size of the OS disk, and that's all for today. Let's stop the session. Thank you for being with me.